Welcome back to another round of the Relic Tour Straßbourg. We're already at round 5, having Marath against Eris. Today I'm on my own, casting this very quick matchup for you. Next Monday is another ban update for Duel Commander, and many people already speculate whether or not Eris will leave the format again. Quite a short appearance, but if you check the results on MTG Top 8, it seems to be quite oppressing. A lot of Top 8 results in a short period of time. And if you've played against it, you figured that it's quite difficult to beat, even with some graveyard hate. On the other hand, I think metagames can always adapt to a certain point. Not too sure about Eris here. People always had a tendency to stay away from commanders that somewhat cheat on your commander attacks. Last time we had a debate was with Hogak. Now we have Eris in command zone, completely different fashion, same problem. So let's see. Do you want to play another 2 months with Eris in the format? We've already seen some Modern Horizons 3 spoilers. Some very potent commanders have been shown already. So the question is whether or not it could keep up with the new Ajani, for example. With the new Boros Titan, which will be played in the command zone, I think. And there are more to come. There's also a new powerful Jeskai commander. But yeah, let's see. So we're starting the game with a couple of creatures on Marath's side. And not that much development from Eris so far. An early Fury to get rid of Delighted Halfling and Mother is definitely good. But it doesn't add up to the discount. And Cankerbloom and Devoted Druid at least put some pressure on your opponent. So when you check Marath's list, he's actually not running Vizier of the Remedies, I think it's called. But he runs Swift Reconfiguration, so there is one combo line with the Devoted Druid and Infinite Mana. I think it's simply in combination with Hardened Scales or any doubling ability that you put infinite counters on Marath, and then you can eventually kill your opponent with damage. So here's a Faithless Looting, Careful Study, and Sleight of Hand all in one turn. But again, we're only at CMC 1 so far. So still no big discount. And now there's a Marath cast for 3. Depending on the matchup, you most often leave some mana left in order to make use of Marath's ability, create tokens, or transfer some counters, or even dealing with some small threats. And there is a Chord of Calling in hand, I think, as well as a Cryptic Trilobite, if I'm not mistaken, and also a Morlock. And now we see an Unholy Heat. That's a bit of a blunder because it only deals 2 damage. There's no Delirium yet, only sorcery cards. And it seems that the player thinks that this spell adds to the Delirium, but it does not. After resolution, instant is added to the graveyard. And even if you would target the Cankerbloom, then Marath could still transfer a counter to the Cankerbloom and it would survive. So there's no target on board currently that makes sense to get rid of with this interaction spell. So they seem to... So the spell resolved, or he got the chance to redirect it to the Cankerbloom, and in response, the counter is placed over there. So we have a 4/3 Kenkerbloom now. He drew Fintorn Elves. Malcolm is not really useful in this matchup unless Eris is on field. Doesn't make a lot of sense to play it right now, so he goes for the Trilobite, which also combos with doubling effects. So you can place a counter from Marath onto the Trilobite. It will get 2, and then you can remove 1 in order to create 2 colorless mana. And first you make your Marath a bit bigger, and once you have 2 counters on the Trilobite, you can make infinite mana out of that. In combination with Marath. And then again, as with the other infinite mana combo, you can just shoot down your opponent. So there's a Fintorn Elf. And now he has 5 creatures on board. And he decides to go for the Call of Calling. The opponent has a Daze, which is countered by Devoted Druid activation. He didn't think about that. And now he scoops. I think Marath is not... It's a bit of an early scoop because he still has a turn left. It's in the same turn, and the only thing to go for would be Conclave Mentor, probably, in order to get a doubling creature. And next turn, with another mana, he could activate and go for the combo. But yeah, the Izzet player could have still find a Sweltering Suns or alike, but he decided to concede right away. Probably expecting that the opponent has Vizier and has infinite mana available. But then again, you can't duplicate the counters on Marath. And you can only make a bigger Trilobite, but in that very turn, you're not able to win that way. So again, a Dork start, which seems to be denied this time with a Lightning Axe. Okay, that's a big lightning strike. 5 damage for 1 toughness creature. But he already added 2 card types and 2 converted mana costs to his graveyard. So that's not too bad either. And now we see the Swift of Reconfiguration. There's a Mother again, it seems. A Flooded Strand. Flame Slash. A Brizzly. That's cool. So the Mother will be dealt with by casting a Memory Lapse. Brizzly is a cool one. I like that addition. The doubling effect is quite powerful. If you haven't seen, I've done a deck tech on that a few weeks ago. We will definitely show this card on cam in the next sessions. So far, from my testings, it turned out to be much better than I expected. If your opponent is unable to deal with the Cactus early, then it can get quite problematic. And also the individual card power in the 99 is not too bad. So here we have a 2 mana 4/4. The basic fetch land interaction, that's not bad. Followed by a Mother probably. So 4 toughness is already hard for Izzet to interact with. He'd love to have the Lightning Axe still, I'd assume. There we see a Surveil land. Comes in handy with the overall strategy. So that could be a problem. He has to deal with the Mother and the Cactus at the same time. Otherwise, it will get in a similar range as Eris, dealing a lot of damage in a short amount of time. 4 mana. There could be an Eris cast now. Maybe if he has a if he has a CMC 0 spell, like GTX Improp, for example. The deck is probably also running Gutshot for the very same reason. So there is a Sentinel, that's the new Merfolk, 3/4 Vigilance, and it creates map tokens, I guess, on ETB and attack. We have the 4th land drop. So Brizzly is a 5/5. If he attacks now, there's no point in blocking since you can just give protection with the mother. And since he knows that he already played a free spell in his very turn in order to make the dragon, he's pretty safe unless the opponent casts a mental misstep that the Flame Slash gets through. And there's a Marath cast. So that's quite a big board here. He's only on 11. Unable to recast Eris this turn. And he decides to swing with the dragon, which makes sense since the opponent can always choose to give protection from red and then you're unable to block anyways, at least one creature. And it seems that Brizzly is the dangerous creature here. So 11, and that's a swing for 9 actually. So he goes down to 2. Marath can either activate the doubling ability, which would be cool, but if he takes the damage, then he can just shoot him down and win the game safely, and that seems to be exactly what he's about to do. So that's a quick 2-0 for Marath. Yeah, it seemed like the second hand of Eris seemed good. The first one seemed to be a bit too slow. Like he didn't really get to develop anything, while also not being able, despite from having Fury, being able to disrupt the opponent and counter the necessary pieces like Devoted Druid or the Code of Calling. Fell into the Devoted Druid trap. Either way, this one turned out for Marath, although you might have not expected. But thanks for tuning in, and see you in round 6.